So, neutrinos. They're small, they're fast, they oscillate. What may this elementary particle and a lock set have in common? Well, if you tuned in before, you all know what that means. We conjecture ahead.
Although this is going to be weird, and it's going to be about a different.
Title of the conference was something like "Ground Truth" or "Turtles All the Way Down," and so it seems as though there's one Ruliad. I don't think it rules them all, and it might be just hyper-rulial turtles all the way down.
Yes, it's on the back of an infinite number of hyper-rulial turtles.
Various people are commenting on the outrage of hacking the universe on a MacBook Air.
Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. And this was something I was touched upon last time I was down at the monastery. And we were just kind of pitching some ideas around and just neutrinos. We don't really have an accurate measurement. We kind of have like a realm, like something like 10 to the negative 37, yada yada. We believe for their kilograms for the mass or something like that. I think that's the sum total for all the oscillations. Because the interesting thing about neutrinos is they oscillate. Because like if all of a sudden you have an electron neutrino, it might shift into a muon neutrino or a tau neutrino. Okay, the long story short, let's not belabor the point. Let's actually get in real quick. Again, links in the doobly-doo below. What the heck is a neutrino? All right. Brought to us by our friends at Wikipedia. A neutrino, denoted by the Greek letter V, is or what is that? That is is a fermion, an elementary particle with a spin of 1/2. That means it's going to have some mass that interacts only via the weak interaction and gravity. The neutrino is so named because it's electrically neutral, because its rest mass is so small, that was long thought to be zero. The rest mass of the neutrino is much smaller than that of other known elementary particles, excluding massless particles. Yes, the mass is less than that of massless. Thank you. The weak force has a very short range, too. The gravitational interaction is extremely weak due to the very small mass of the neutrino, and neutrinos do not participate in the strong interaction. Thus, neutrinos are typically passed through no matter unimpeded and undetected. Weak interactions that create neutrinos in one of the three leptonic flavors: the electron neutrino, the muon neutrino, the tau neutrino. And when the sum of their squares combine, I think that's when we get that estimate that we had over there before. But hey, uncompetitive Rick, what's going on, my friends? How are we all doing this evening? But okay. Yes, this is a very interesting thing. And again, like many ideas, it's probably wrong. However, I'm going to conjecture, just for the sake of argument, what if it is something from at least my time spent as a maintenance guy that might help us figure out what may be going on. And again, just some conjecture on my part, because one of the things that I noticed is, okay, all of a sudden, depending on the energy of the interaction and everything, all of a sudden a neutron decays. What do we get? Well, we get a proton. We get an electron. We get an antineutrino. That's very interesting. Hey, Erlis, how are we doing? I'm sorry you've had a bad day. Hopefully we can perk it up and at least oscillate it in a better direction. So, what do we got? All right. So a neutron, when it leaves the nucleus, typically, it's usually chilling as a neutron for like, I don't know, about 15 minutes or so. Okay, and that's the case. Why? So, and then that product we get proton, electron, antineutrino. I'm like, okay. We didn't necessarily know we were looking for the neutrino. So it's like, what happens if in order for a neutron to be a neutron, we need that neutrino? Because that appears to be the case. We're just following the evidence that's laid out in front of us. One of the things I noticed during my career of being a bad maintenance dude is we would replace lock sets every once in a while. And one of the things that would happen when there was an issue with a lock set is sometimes it would be loose. It'd be loose, and sometimes it would like break apart and everything. And very often I would find maybe one of the internal components was damaged or something. And this is actually it's actually kind of hard to find because people use different words. I just said lock pin is a generic thing. Some folks will say, well, that's kind of what the key thing does over there when it lines up there. And there are pins and a number of locks. That is true. However, often you also have a cotter pin. So what's a cotter pin? Cotter pin or split pin. It's the thing we put in the doobly-doo or on the little image. So that little thing you slide in there. And occasionally, it might literally just be a pin. Literally, as you're feeding it through, literally to line everything up and actually allow the knob to turn without literally turning itself apart, you need to have that pin in there. And it's just this very small thing. And then you can have a heavy-duty steel lock set, and people can do all the, let's just say the lock sets we were using, they were pretty high-end because some of the clientele we were dealing with, they were good breaking things. Now, I ain't gonna hate on somebody for attempting to do something well, but basically having the right component there can make all the difference from somebody literally tearing a lock set apart. And literally when you have some folks that can just literally unscrew things that you torqued with a screwdriver, when they can take apart them with their hands, you want things to be very secure. But at least for this, we'll just do a real quick thing. A split pin, also in the United States of America as a cotter pin or cotter key. A metal fastener with 2 tines that are bent during installation, similar to a staple or a rivet, typically made of thick wire. Okay, so basically what happens? You stick the pin in the hole, and it latches on there. Cool. And the interesting thing I'm learning, we use this for different braking mechanisms, like for car hubs. Again, they're going to be beefier and everything. But for certain lock sets, literally, you just have this little straight pin, kind of almost looks like a nail, might have a little bit of a head on it. You just stick it in. And if you have a good, well-made lock, it's going to stick in there. And it's literally from the pressure. It's almost like it's a point of isolation, if you would, that everything else is operating around. Very interesting. So, yeah, we got some things on locks here and everything. This isn't really, I actually spent some time looking for it. Oh, God. I should actually probably just take apart a lock set or something. Actually, I still need to go down by like Home Depot or Lowe's or something. So maybe I'll do that. Because I literally spent the past 30 minutes looking for like the right thumbnail. I'm like, I'm not really finding the things that I want. But, hey, Gerbil. I'm sorry you got to go. But, hey, take care of yourself. Be safe, my friend. But as far as decay of the proton, there's estimates like last thing I saw was like 10 to the 29 years or 6.3 times 10 to the 29, something like that. I'm sorry. Please comment. If you have chance, comment down below, or if you could get me towards actual guides, that would be fantastic. I just did a real quick cursory look, but I'd love to get your opinion and just thoughts on this, because the interesting thing is very often people, this is the thing that kind of gets me. A lot of folks will say things and it's like, oh, you see all this math, it scares people away. I know it scared me away. And then I learned it was Wolfram Alpha. And it basically does the hard stuff for you. You're going to need to start to learn, and I'm still continuing to learn the Wolfram language so I can actually start coding things together, because if you can actually start to create what you're talking about, I don't need to do as much hand waving and stuff here. But, hey, Leo, what's going on, my dude? How we doing? Yeah, so basically the whole pitch for this is, I don't even think we really need this stuff anymore. But, okay. The interesting thing about Neutrino, I'm not going to get into oscillation. That's a number of different things. I have my own potential ideas and stuff on that. But, what's this? Okay, so the upper limit on the sum is about 2.4 times 10 to the 37 kilograms. I know that is proposed because for different generations of matter, it appears to follow the Code equation. He actually has a video that did pretty well on that. Basically, you're taking, I believe you sum them together, and basically you're doing the squares or the square roots there. And let's just go up to the Code equation. I didn't even mean to talk about this, but there's something I need to learn more. Okay, the Code formula. All right. So the Code formula is mass of the electron plus mass of muon plus the mass of the tau divided by the square root of the mass of the electron plus the mass of muon plus the mass of the tau squared. And it comes out to be that. You're like, it seems pretty close to 2/3. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right around 7 significant digits. It's, I digress. It's approximately 2/3. So, and I believe a couple of folks, they won the Nobel Prize for Physics on this because they took, was it the mass in electron volts of the electron muon? I think they predicted the tau. So the mass of the electron is about, about half a mega electron volt there. Mass of muon is about 105, so about 200 so times larger than that. And then the mass of the tau is 1776. Oh, that's interesting. Mega electron volts. All right. That's cool. So basically, it gives you, it's like the Code formula. Groovy. I apologize for talking about that. Okay. But the whole gist, the whole thing about what I'm saying, we don't need that anymore. Hey, Kali. Okay. Together in a for me, and this was actually a shout out to, Roy Dobson. Because one of his big things, and he kind of comes from the theories of nothing community as well, where it was like, all right, there's going to be a still point. I can totally believe that might be there. Is that on maybe a larger galactic scale? Perhaps a cosmological scale? I'm just talking about the particle scale here. Depending on the reference frame, is there a difference? I don't know. It makes me go back to Professor Wolfram. He's like, I tend to think that electrons and black holes might kind of be the same thing. I'm like, I'm not going to say no. He's a pretty smart dude. I have my own opinions. But the whole thing for the neutrino is, I'm like, okay. So, and actually a lot of this comes from Kali and her sticks and everything. Because I still don't really understand the sticks, but I'm just like, I did work on lock sets for a while. So like, that's something that's relevant that I can relate to. That and occasionally stuff from mechanics or plumbing and stuff can be useful in particle physics. I think Professor Susskind wasn't he a plumber or something? And he ended up giving up being a plumber to become a physicist. I think the joke was many physicists gave up being physicists to become plumbers, because often the money was probably better. But I think some of his analogies, and he's done a lot of work on black holes and stuff like that. I'm like, seems like transferable knowledge. Is it the exact same? Probably not, but I digress. My whole thing is, all right, get your proton. How the heck do you get that electron in there? However it gets there, whether it's great pressure or anything there. Hey, God bless Brother Duvit. Good to see you, my friend. But basically, you got that there. Whatever pressure's going on, how are you going to lock that electron in place to make it be part of that proton? Also, shout out to my friends Shiloh and Anastasia from the Demystify Side podcast. Full disclosure, I shoot them a couple bucks a month on Patreon. But what also happens there is apparently within the wave function of the electron, depending on how you calculate, it literally goes out to infinity, but it also happens to go through the sum of the proton. I did not know that. I learned that more recently, and I'm like, that's interesting. So what happens, hypothetically, get your electrons doing its thing, it happens to get caught, how does it get pinned in there? Just from pressure? Maybe. But how do you lock it in place so it's more stable? Well, if you had a center point that everything could kind of wrap around on, as it's doing all its crazy things, switching between its different quarks and everything, what if there's something in there? And then, when it decays, the energy from that decay and everything breaking apart might, whatever way it would be spinning. Oh, yeah, because it's also oscillating in there. And apparently quarks and stuff oscillate too. Why? We just call them colors again. Maybe just a coinky dink. But I think there may be a relation. I'm just rampantly conjecturing here. At the same time, might there be a connection? Might when that neutron decays into a proton, an electron, and an antineutrino, the energy from that decay gets that neutrino going in the other direction. Some geometric action or something, potentially? I don't know. Rick saying, like the key part in a Chinese wooden puzzle. Oh, I like a lot of those puzzles. They're very fun. I'm not that great at them. I did really like Chinese checkers, though. I like the way it works there. Just some folks aren't fans. I always thought it was pretty cool, just because you have the extra dimensionality. I feel like I should play more games like that. But it's very interesting. I'm looking forward. Going to be heading out next week to do a road trip to the monastery, spend some time out there, and get the upcoming conference. It should be pretty exciting. I got a pretty good feeling about this. So again, just my conjecture. I am totally biased as well, but yeah, that's all I really got for right now. Neutrinos, are they just kind of locked in for particles? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to get some better instruments and maybe a few new ideas from some folks that maybe we haven't heard much from these days. But yeah, I love it. No, it's Rick. It's like a good quest. At least according to the Cosmos out there, there's a question mark. It looks yellow, and according to my time gaming, that means we've got quests to complete. So that's all I got for right now. Peace out, everybody. Take care of yourselves. It's a crazy world out there, but the best is yet to come, I claim.